big news story today, of course, is India has got its first plasma bank in the national capital, Delhi, announced by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Now, the plasma bank aims to get people who have recovered from the coronavirus to come and donate their plasma. Plasma therapy has shown some initial results. A lot of states are gung-ho about it, but there are mixed reactions so far. It's a good opportunity to understand how crucial plasma therapy really is and how a plasma bank like this can actually help. And speaking to me on this now is Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman and Managing Director of Nephron Healthcare. Dr. Bagai, welcome to the show and great to have you on the show today. Can you explain to us the significance of a plasma bank like this?
Good evening, everyone. Plasma therapy, which we call as convalescent plasma therapy, has been in vogue internationally for many decades. It was earlier tried even for many decades back, even for diphtheria, and recently in early 2000s for Ebola, for MERS, for SARS viral group of infections. This In this episode of the COVID infection pandemic globally, this has been a lot of publications have been there since early February with regards to convalescent plasma therapy. And this is a good move, which is now being tried in the major metros. I believe Bombay has a very large trial which has been authorized by ICMR and the local state government. And likewise, there's a plasma blood bank which has just been inaugurated today. Obviously, during the course of this discussion, I will highlight various aspects of it, but I think it's a move in the correct direction. It's a ray of hope in this pandemic, and so far in the reports which have come in, it has shown reasonably good promise.
Well, and definitely an urge over here to everyone out there who can to go out and donate plasma. If you have recovered from COVID, there are certain restrictions. You have to be above the weight of 50 kilos, between 18 years and 60 years. And of course, you can't have comorbidities. Women who have been pregnant also cannot donate plasma. But Dr. Bagai, when you say that there are promising results, there has been no clarity so far, isn't it, as to how effective plasma therapy is and how does it really help?
Yeah, so just a quick rundown. When you talk in terms of the blood components, when a person goes to donate blood in a blood bank or in a hospital, you have different components of blood. 55% of your complete blood component is plasma. Plasma is the yellow part, it's the protein part of your blood. The rest is occupied by your red blood cells and platelets and white blood cells. This plasma contains water, protein, carbohydrates, and many other electrolytes which are important for functioning. Plasma as protein also contains antibodies, especially in patients who have recovered from this infection called as COVID. Antibodies are proteins which are built in the body to fight off the infection. Now, these antibodies obviously have a titer. That means you need a minimum amount of antibodies, which we call as neutralizing antibodies. When you say neutralizing antibodies, that means these antibodies, these protein particles, are going to go and neutralize, means nullify the effect of the COVID virus, which comes in with an antigen. That means your antibody fights against your foreign antigen, which is a COVID. And once you have a minimum amount of titer, you transfuse this plasma with the antibodies into a patient which requires. There are specific indications. Not all patients of COVID are given the plasma therapy, but with the specific indications under hospital setting. And this has shown
Okay,
various.
so explain. So, no, Dr. Bagai, if you can explain that part. So which kind of patients and at what stage does plasma therapy really help? Because we always keep hearing of these appeals to urgently donate plasma. At what point does it really help, and what is its efficacy?
Yeah, so there are two schools of thought. The earlier school of thought was in really critical patients who are on ventilators, in the criticality part of the disease. But now it's even in the moderate group, with a specific titer, antibody titer, plasma is transfused. It's given in volumes of 200 ml. It's given twice as per the requirement. And what it really does, even in a moderate infection group, is that it decreases your requirement of oxygen. So it improves your hypoxia, your decrease in oxygen. It decreases your viral load of COVID in the body. It increases your oxygen binding capacity in your blood because you're neutralizing the bad effects of the COVID. It decreases the total number of days in the ICU. It decreases your ventilatory requirements in those cases. And most importantly, what has now been shown as very good results is it shows very good recovery as far as your radiological improvement, your CT scan and your X-ray improvement of your cytogenic storm which takes place in your lungs. So your cytogenic storm is a huge host of a volcano of viral markers, of inflammatory markers which come in and damage your lung, and therefore you're unable to breathe. So it decreases your cytogenic storm. So whatever results we have seen so far, although it's not been published as a unified study so far, it has shown very good promise.
So looking at this, Dr. Bagai, would you say that a plasma bank in many more cities of the country is the need of the hour? There should be as many as possible?
I think plasma therapy will catch speed very quickly. To tell you, it needs monitoring. You need a specified blood bank which can actually have what we call as a plasma component separator. You need a facility in which your antibody titer can be titrated. So we know that not all patients who have recovered from the COVID infection have the required antibody. So we also know that it takes about 2 weeks after the infection for the antibodies to peak in your body. And we also know that after 2 months of recovery, your antibody titers decrease. So there is a window period in which you need to donate. Uh, as per what we have seen so far with the results which are coming in, although they are smaller groups of case reports, the results are good. And I'm sure that this could be replicated in most other metros. Plasma bank, what it does is, because it keeps the plasma ready. You don't waste time in doing your blood group cross matching and screening and taking the history of patients. So it gives you a ready base where in an emergency situation this plasma is readily available. And in any case, I think a blood donation as a voluntary what we say is as an obligation towards the society is always good. So it's not only the plasma which should be used, but the red blood cells can be used for other uses, for other conditions, for other patients. But plasma as a blood bank is a good concept, and I'm happy that at least in Bombay and Delhi, this has now taken a firm footing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Bagai, for coming onto the show and explaining this to our viewers today.
Thank you.
We'll take a very short break at this point, but look at how much our lives have changed in the last 100 days. Today, there's a big cheer because there's a plasma bank to treat COVID, but it's a very different situation about 3 months ago. After the break, we kick off a special series where we look at how things have changed since the 25th of March when the first lockdown was put in place. Do come back for that.